government can't do everything. And we in North Carolina kind of believe in neighbor helping neighbor. And that's something that's been ingrained in us for a long, long time. And we're fortunate to have many community and faith-based organizations that spring into action when we need help most. One of the state's most active organizations is the North Carolina Baptist on Mission. And remember, I didn't say Baptist men because I know better. But I want to introduce Richard Brunson, who's been the director of the Baptist on Mission since 1992. But his involvement goes back much further than that. And he was a seminary student back in 1982. Baptist on Mission has 17 different ministries and mission partnerships in 10 states and 8 countries. And we can't say enough thanks to them too, and when he finishes, I'll tell you just how far they went in doing what they do best, and that's helping people. Richard?
Thank you, Commissioner Troxler. It's an honor to be here, and I'm just amazed at the work of our partners and our volunteers and this department and just the things that I've heard today. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be here and to represent many churches. And many of you are involved in churches, and you're involved in, around this room, you're involved in things like disaster relief. One of those 17 ministries we have is Ag Missions, and Dr. Maurice Cook was the person who helped start Ag Missions. And Mark Rice is here, and Dr. Cook is here. And those people have been instrumental not only in Ag, but in disaster relief and the other different ministries. What I wanted just Commissioner Troxler mentioned, I was in seminary in '82, and I was working part-time, and in '84 was the first disaster we responded to. It was the Red Springs tornadoes, and we took our unit, and we were just so proud of that unit, and it served about 3,000 meals after the disaster in the week or so that we were in Red Springs. And it was the first involvement in disaster relief. And disaster relief has certainly changed over the years. And here is let me get back. In 2016, you can see there were about 14 different disasters that North Carolina Baptist men and women were able to respond to. And you see some of the volunteer days, 531,000 meals. Now, Baptists aren't the only ones. There are many churches, there are many faith groups that are involved in disaster relief. But I'm just thankful to be here and represent them. There are things that faith groups and churches and Baptist churches can bring as partners that I think are very much needed after a disaster. Not only this kind of work, the feeding, the mud outs and the tear outs, but look at some of the disasters for 2016. Carolina flood rebuild, mostly in South Carolina. You see all these others. The two biggest ones were Hurricane Matthew in our state this past year and the Western North Carolina fires. So what do faith groups bring? What do churches bring? What do those volunteers bring who are there at their own expense? They're there because they care about the people. They're talking to the people that they're working with, whether they're serving food or whether they're helping them with mud out and tear out or rebuild. This video is from Hurricane Matthew. It's only 40 seconds long, but it shows one of the biggest things that faith that churches bring after a disaster as we partner with you, and that's hope.
We're here in Lumberton, North Carolina to help the people that have been affected by Hurricane Matthew. There's much flooding. Most of them have lost a lot of hope, so we're trying to encourage them with our chaplaincy and with food, with showers and laundry, and we're just trying to give them the hope that we have in Jesus Christ.
Hey guys, how you doing? How many cases do you need?
One of the best ways that we can share the love of Christ is with a good smile, a handshake, a hug, and just be an encouragement to them that if they need something, we'll do our best to help them out in this time.
So here are some of the different ways. It started just in feeding in 1984, and then after many disasters, you see other ways and other needs that volunteers can help meet. And so you see about 20 different types of teams, from administration, assessment, chaplaincy, child care, feeding, search and rescue, medical reserve corps, recovery, rebuild. And here are just some pictures, real quickly, of some of the equipment, the volunteers that we feel like God has provided. And it's people with big hearts who care about hurting people. This is our command unit, chaplaincy volunteers, communication volunteers, child care, feeding unit 1. We have 5 large feeding units. Feeding unit 1 and 2 will each do up to 30,000 meals a day. And so this is feeding unit 1, feeding unit 2. Feeding unit 3 will do 20,000 meals a day. And then feeding unit 4 and 5 are smaller, more specialized unit. We have Medical Reserve Corps volunteers who work closely with emergency management and help with medical needs after disasters. Search and rescue, international search and rescue. We have shower units. We have 7 large shower units that have a total of 60 different shower stalls. Laundry ministry. After 9/11, we were working in New York and at the Pentagon, and one of the needs that surfaced was people were going in, they were covered in dust. A lot of it was the search and rescue people. And so our volunteers from New York said, we need to build a laundry unit and wash people's clothes as a way to help them and offer support for them. Another team is assessment, and we have CDL drivers and CDL units, tractor trailer units, maintenance, pod point of distribution teams, safety teams, water tankers, and we have 2 large water tanker units. And then a big effort is through disaster recovery. We have 2 state units like this that are filled with chainsaw, mud out equipment, safety equipment, and we have 4 large rebuild units to help rebuild homes and other places after disaster. Then a number of churches and associations have their own smaller recovery units like this, and they help with mud out and tear out. And here are just a few of the pictures. Chainsaw teams, temporary roofing and rebuilding teams. Now, to use Matthew as an example, here are some of the numbers from Matthew. Volunteers worked at 13 different locations, provided 18,000 volunteer days, 455,000 meals, completed 1,400 jobs, mostly mud out, tear out, chainsaw. And they've already started the rebuild in a number of different locations. That's going to go on for the next couple of years. 2,425 laundry loads washed. And here are just a few pictures of volunteers serving in their community in partnership with you, and just it's a great way for them. Early on it was feeding, chainsaw, mud out, tear out volunteers, and long term it'll be helping people rebuild. And these are some of the tear out teams that are working. Now, the other large disaster we've already talked about, I won't say much about the Western North Carolina fires. This was just a great opportunity for volunteers to serve the brave men and women who are firefighters. And our volunteers were so thankful for this opportunity. And it was such a blessing to them. And they served in 3 locations, Franklin, Lake Lure, and Crossnore. Over 29,000 meals were prepared and over 1,100 volunteer days. Now this is another 40-second video to show you what they were doing to serve our firefighters.
This is the first time I've had any dealings with the Baptist Mission, and I have been thoroughly impressed with the attitude of the volunteers, the logistics. Oh, it's fantastic. And what the Baptist Mission has brought, they've brought more than just a hot meal to us. They've brought some Southern hospitality, which I really enjoyed. I've talked to most of the folks in there, you know, the standard stuff of where we're from and how everybody's doing. And they've just been really good to us. And as far as the food, it's been excellent. If you can get a bunch of firefighters through something like that and no complaints, you know it's fantastic. And I haven't heard one complaint about the food, so they've done awesome.
Here are just a couple other pictures from those Western North Carolina fires. It was such an honor. We're so thankful for the opportunity to serve you to partner with you to see the great work that this department, Commissioner Troxler, is involved in and what you're doing. So thank you for the opportunity you've given us.
That's not really the end of the story. The week before Thanksgiving, Zane and I were up to the fires, and I came up with this idea. I said, if these people are good enough to come to North Carolina and be here on Thanksgiving Day fighting fires, and we've got volunteers from all over the state, and my Forest Service people are going to be away from home on Thanksgiving, we're going to feed them. Well, I assigned Bill Yarborough and Zane Hedgecott, my chief of staff, to do that, and they understand that my big ideas become their big problem. So, first of all, they were wondering where we're going to get the food to feed 2,500 people. And the next day, they were saying, Commissioner, what are we going to do with all this food? So many businesses stepped up across the state with everything imaginable for a Thanksgiving dinner, so we had plenty of food. But then the question becomes, who's going to cook it? And I was almost ashamed to ask Baptist on Mission to step up again after they'd done so much, but they said, sure. So they were able to feed people at the locations they were at. Dr. Sandy Stewart and our research station staff stepped up and went all the way out to Robinsonville to feed those folks out there. And if you've ever gone out there, you understand you don't run into it. It's you got to want to go out there. But everything went great, and I think the people really appreciated that. So we were tickled to death to be able to do it. So this has been quite an information about the disasters, I know, but I thought it was important for you to know that the help is there. They're trained, professional, and they know what they're doing. And we didn't say anything about the tornado outbreak that happened in the spring of the year that we were involved in too. But I can tell you by the end of the disaster, we were looking for the locusts. We thought that would certainly be next, but luckily it did end, and it did rain at a time when we least suspected it was going to rain, and that's the reason we were able to complete the work in the mountains.